Principles Show daily podcast by and for you.
All right, let's deep dive today into something pretty cool, I think.
Yeah.
We're going to Indonesia.
Yeah.
Explore their, really innovative approach to sustainable development, specifically in villages, rural villages.
Interesting.
We found this fascinating article
Mm-hmm.
from the Brics joint website, and it details how Indonesian ministries are working together
Uh-huh.
to make these villages, not just self-sufficient, but truly eco-friendly.
It is pretty ambitious.
Yeah.
What they're doing, it's really quite unique.
Yeah, that's what caught my eye too. So we've got these two major players, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Indonesian Ministry of Environment
Right.
and the Ministry of Villages and Development of Disadvantaged Regions.
Mm-hmm.
And they've signed a formal agreement, like an OU,
Wow.
a memorandum of understanding to actually collaborate on this. Is that common?
To see that level of commitment from two different ministries, it's pretty unusual, I would say. It's definitely a strong signal that they're serious about this, integrating sustainability into their village development. It's not just a handshake.
Right.
This MOU, it lays out a framework for real action.
They're putting their money where their mouth is.
Exactly.
So what does that actually look like on the ground? How are they making these villages more sustainable?
Well, one of the key strategies they're using is the concept of a circular economy.
Right. Reduce, reuse, recycle.
Yeah.
But how does that actually play out in a village?
You have to move away from that linear model, take, make, dispose, and instead create a closed loop where resources are constantly reused, repurposed.
Okay.
Like, for example, encouraging villagers to compost
Yeah.
organic waste, which then can be used to enrich the soil.
Oh, interesting.
For farming, it's a system where the waste becomes a valuable resource.
It's not just about being eco-friendly, it's about being resourceful as well,
Yeah.
which makes a lot of sense, especially in a rural area where resources might be more limited. But I'm guessing it's not as simple as just telling people to start composting.
No.
There must be some kind of program.
Absolutely. They have this program. It's called the Climate Village Program, or PROCLAM,
Okay.
which incentivizes the villagers to adopt these eco-friendly practices. They're also using it to introduce renewable energy sources, like solar power, to reduce reliance on fossil fuels.
Proclam. It sounds like a superhero squad,
A little bit, yeah.
but it also sounds like a logistical nightmare. I mean, how do they even manage a program like that across so many villages?
Yeah, it is a considerable undertaking. They're providing training and resources to village leaders
Okay.
and working to build capacity within the communities themselves.
So it's about empowering the villages to take ownership of their own sustainability.
Right.
You mentioned renewable energy. What about waste management? I imagine that's a huge challenge in rural areas.
It is. It's a major challenge. And that's where their Waste-Free Village action comes in.
Okay.
They've launched this initiative in 8 villages
Wow.
across Indonesia. One example is in Malacca Village
Okay.
in North Lombok.
8 villages. That's impressive.
Yeah.
But why those specific villages? Was there something special about them?
Well, they chose them strategically based on their willingness to participate and their potential for success.
Okay.
These villages are like models for others to learn from.
Okay. So what are they doing? What makes these villages waste-free?
It's not that they're literally producing zero waste, but they're making huge strides in reducing their environmental impact.
Okay.
They're teaching the villagers to sort their waste properly.
Okay.
They're composting organic materials and finding ways to reuse or recycle what can't be composted.
So they're hitting it from both ends.
Right.
Reducing waste at the source
Mhm.
and then dealing with what's left in a responsible way.
Exactly.
But all the sorting and composting, that's a real change in behavior.
It is.
People have to buy in.
And that's why they're putting so much emphasis on education.
Okay.
Especially for young people. They're integrating sustainable practices into school curriculums.
Wow.
So the next generation grows up with these values.
That's smart. You catch them while they're young. Is there any pushback from the older generations? I mean, changing lifelong habits can't be easy.
There are always challenges when you're
Yes.
implementing new initiatives.
Sure.
But the program organizers, they're working closely with communities, engaging with elders, and incorporating traditional knowledge into the approach.
That's a really interesting angle. So they're kind of blending the old with the new, finding ways to make sustainability resonate with existing cultural values.
Exactly, making sure that these initiatives are culturally appropriate and sustainable in the long run.
This all sounds incredibly promising. But I'm wondering how they're actually measuring the success of these programs. Are they seeing results?
Oh, they are. They are seeing tangible results. In Malacca Village, for example, they've significantly reduced the amount of waste going to landfills, which is a major win.
That's great to hear. So it's not just a feel-good initiative, it's actually making a measurable difference. Are we talking just environmental benefits here? Or are there other positive outcomes?
It's definitely not just about the environment. They're seeing positive impacts on public health and the local economy as well.
Hold on, we're going to have to dive into that a bit more.
Yeah.
So before we were talking about some of the benefits beyond just the environmental stuff.
Yeah.
What can you tell me about that?
Well, one of the big things is public health. It's really improved. By reducing waste, promoting these cleaner living environments, they've seen a decrease in sanitation-related illnesses.
Yeah, less waste, fewer breeding grounds for, disease-carrying pests.
Right.
It's pretty amazing how something as simple as waste management can have such a ripple effect on overall well-being.
And it goes even further. The economic benefits are becoming really apparent.
Oh, okay. I'm intrigued. How does sustainability lead to economic growth, especially in these rural villages?
There are a couple ways this happens. First, shifting to that circular economy creates new opportunities for local businesses.
Okay.
For example, some villages are now producing and selling compost or recycled crafts, which generates income for the community.
So it's not just about reducing waste, it's about turning that waste into something profitable.
Yeah, exactly. And then by adopting renewable energy sources like solar power, they reduce their reliance on expensive fossil fuels.
Makes sense.
This lowers their energy costs and frees up resources for other needs.
It's like this chain reaction. Healthier environment, healthier people, and a healthier economy.
It all fits together.
It does. It's pretty amazing. It's such a departure from that old model of development where economic growth often came at the cost of the environment.
Yeah.
But what's interesting to me is how they involve the community. It's not just experts telling people what to do. It's about empowering the villagers.
Absolutely. One of the key factors to their success is the community ownership. They've made a real effort to involve the villagers every step of the way.
So it's more of a grassroots movement, not top-down.
Yeah.
How do they get everyone on board, though? There must be people resistant to change, right?
Of course, there are always challenges, but they're overcoming those challenges in a fascinating way by tapping into existing social structures and cultural values.
Okay.
For example, in many villages, there's a tradition of communal work. It's called gotong royong.
Gotong royong. What is that?
It's basically a spirit of cooperation, mutual assistance, coming together as a community to achieve a common goal.
I like that.
And the program organizers have been leveraging this tradition to promote participation in these sustainability initiatives.
So they're framing things within a cultural context that people already understand.
Right.
That's really smart. This all sounds really inspiring. But is this model scalable? Can it work beyond these 8 villages? Could it be replicated in other countries facing similar challenges?
That's a good question, and a lot of people are asking it. There's no doubt that replicating this on a larger scale will take a lot of planning and adaptation. But the principles, they can be applied in lots of contexts.
It's more of a framework that can be tailored. So what are some key takeaways from Indonesia's approach that our listeners can apply to their own lives, no matter where they live?
Well, I think first, it shows that sustainable development isn't just some ideal, it's achievable.
It's a real-world example.
It is. And second, it shows the power of these integrated solutions. You can't just address environmental challenges in isolation. You need to think holistically. Consider social, economic, and environmental factors.
Look at the whole system.
The whole system.
But what does that look like in practice? Can you give some concrete examples of how we can apply these principles?
Sure. I think one of the simplest things is to reduce consumption and waste.
Yeah.
Be mindful of what you buy, choose durable products, repair things rather than throw them away.
Shifting our mindset from disposable to resourceful. What about those of us who live in cities? Does this model work for city dwellers?
It absolutely does. A lot of the same principles apply. Support local businesses that are sustainable, reduce your reliance on cars, advocate for green spaces, and get involved in community initiatives.
So it's about reducing waste, conserving resources, and engaging with our communities. But for those of us who aren't policymakers or community leaders, where do we even start?
Start small. Focus on what you can control. Even small actions can make a difference. Educate yourself about local environmental issues, support organizations working on solutions, and talk to your friends and family about these topics.
Become more conscious, more engaged, and more vocal. Not everyone's going to be passionate about sustainability, though. How do we reach those people?
That's a tough one. But I think you have to frame sustainability in a way that resonates with people's values.
Instead of just focusing on the negative, highlight the positives.
Exactly. Sustainability isn't about sacrifice. It's about a better future. Show people those win-win scenarios, protecting the environment, leading to economic growth, better health, a stronger community. Show them those success stories like the one we're talking about today.
So paint a vision of a future that's not just sustainable, but desirable. But all this talk about the future, it can feel distant. What can we do today?
Start a conversation. Talk to your friends, your family, your coworkers about this stuff. Share what you've learned, ask questions, and encourage others to think about their own impact.
Raise awareness, spark curiosity, create a ripple effect. As we're wrapping up this deep dive, I'm feeling optimistic. It's possible. There are solutions. We all have a role to play in creating a more sustainable future. It's easy to get bogged down in the challenges of creating a sustainable future. But hearing these stories from Indonesia, it's inspiring.
It's a good reminder that we're not starting from nothing. There are models out there that work. We can learn from them.
Exactly. And that brings us to our final thought for today. We've seen what Indonesia is doing.
Right.
But what about your community, where you live? Think about the challenges your community is facing. Whether it's waste management, pollution, access to resources. Could this model work where you are? Are there opportunities to be more eco-friendly, reduce waste, support a circular economy in your neighborhood?
I think the key is to change how we see things. Instead of seeing problems, look for opportunities. Maybe it's composting in your backyard, or supporting local businesses that are sustainable, or just learning more about the challenges and opportunities in your area.
Yeah, taking ownership. Being a part of the solution. One of the things that struck me about the Indonesian model was the focus on education.
Right.
Especially for young people. What are we doing in our own communities to teach these values to the next generation?
That's so important. We need to prepare them for a sustainable future. Are there ways to get involved with schools or youth organizations? Maybe share your knowledge or your passion for sustainability. Support programs that are already doing good work.
It's about getting them thinking about it early. But we have to be role models too.
Absolutely. And sometimes just talking about it is enough. Talk to your friends, family, colleagues. Share what you've learned. Ask questions. Challenge each other to think differently.
A sustainable future isn't about guilt trips. It's about sharing what we know and inspiring action. Reminding ourselves that we're all in this together.
Exactly.
So keep diving deep, keep exploring, and keep believing that a better world is possible. Until next time, stay curious and stay engaged.
The power to change things is in all of us.